some people don't care whether or not children go to bed hungry at night. Some people don't care whether some children are bombed if it means others aren't. Some people don't care who is the person making the decisions as long as they're like them or think like them. In other words, what I'm trying to say is that for a lot of people in progressive spaces, they don't actually care about the people that we care about or that I care about. They just care about being right, feeling like they've done something or they are something, as opposed to the real practical implications of whatever it is that they believe.
That's real.
Fairs, he's taking it there, man.
might have been the first one we seen landed immediately.
Yeah, I know.
But Yisrael, unpack that for us.
So in one sense, it's like, I remember, for example, speaking with certain people who, it could be something easy. So they think that if capitalism disappeared overnight, all of a sudden racism would be dead. But the people who often say that to me are people who either have a certain conception of what race is or what racism is that ignores, if you like, anything before sort of what people often describe as proto-capitalism, the transatlantic slave trade, the Congo Free State, etc., and ignores centuries of a scramble for Africa or any number of historical examples prior to that, or of any contact between peoples across continents. Another example could be people who, for example, want Labour to win so much that if it means that, say, the two-child benefit cap is still in place or that arms sales are still being sold, not just to the Israeli government, we've talked about the Israeli government, but I could be talking about Saudi Arabia. I saw somebody describe Mohammed bin Salman as the bone saw, a man who's cracked down on journalists where civil liberties for women have been, restricted. That wouldn't matter to them. Or people who, for example, will on one hand praise the resistance to the Israeli government's assault from, for example, Iran or the Houthis, but at the same time fail to recognize that the Houthis have crucified people if they're homosexual. So what I'm saying is that people are not necessarily consistent, and not necessarily because they can't or don't have access to that information, but sometimes that they choose not to. They have that intellectual stopgap. They might be great here on poverty. They might be great here on reducing global poverty. They might be great here on violence against women and girls. But as soon as it comes to, for example, Brianna J, a trans child who's killed, basically, or it comes to black women dying on the operating table because their mortality rate is so much higher when giving birth, then all of a sudden there's radio silence.
We kind of spoke about this a little bit in State of Play, where it's like you happen to be on the right side of history for this issue, but in fact your guiding principles are something slightly different. And I guess all three of us are, minority ethnics within the left-wing space in politics in the UK. What's been you guys' experiences of that?
Well, I think it's quite interesting you bring up that kind of weirdness, because I feel like in particular, in practice, you only really experience this when you're actually doing the kind of active campaigning or you're behind the scenes. And to kind of even just colour in like some of these experiences, I wanted to kind of bring up a story around how we met at a Palestine march. So forgive me if you don't want me to talk about this or anything. But so look, Yisrael has been doing his thing for a long time, probably one of the biggest platforms for left-wing short form content in the country. And obviously at the Palestine march, you kind of want to get your message out. You want to be able to kind of get these kind of young influencers who understand social media to help you put your message out. And I found it really strange when I got there, because Northstar politics, bit of nobodies in the grand scheme of things. Back then. Now we're big names.
Big name. Big stage.
They kind of like, you were there trying to get like your Vox Pops or whatever, but then they didn't let you behind the scenes.
Who's they?
They being like, I don't know, the Palestine the organisers for the march.
Don't be saying Palestine Action.
No, I can't be saying Palestine Action.
We're going to get raided.
Yeah. But I found it really strange, because if you are committed to those principles, you obviously want to use the mediums and use the strategies to get your message out in the most effective way. And here you are trying to literally do that alongside them, and they're literally treating you as if we know him and we know what he does, but we don't want him anywhere near this. And I found that so weird, because we've got behind there before.
But it's also, on our end though, it's like we've had so many experiences that obviously people might not know, but before Northstar Politics was Northstar Politics Media, we were just literally working as campaigners and consultants in the political space. And so many times you would...
For free.
Literally for free. And so many times you would come across instances where we're literally two young ideological guys who want to do the best work we can, but we're being obstructed from literally doing free work to help people by like sort of these posses around certain political factions or politicians who are just really bought into this clout politics and maintaining the access they have to these characters rather than actually caring about whatever goal they claim to espouse.
And it's a commitment to identity and that kind of clout, like you say, over the actual principles.
Yeah, honestly, like one day maybe we'll drop the Northstar politics tier list. Where we've got a tier list of everyone we've interacted with in politics. Yeah, and it's been so many characters. Where it's like, what is going on here?
As in, like, it's as if you want to kind of shake them, be like, do you care about this issue? Because we can actually help you get to where you need to get. Strange.
No, it's that thing of cliques, I guess, form naturally at some level. But I think it's weird if your politics is about, moving people forward, pushing the envelope, bringing people with you and together, and rising tide lifts all boats, and whichever and every other thing that I could say about that issue, then it's odd for people to sometimes gatekeep both individuals, access, and all this kind of stuff in a way that sort of represents a sort of like a sort of social currency, But that doesn't pay anybody's bills at the end of the day. It doesn't pay for anybody to get on cheaper transport. It doesn't change the state of play, and it can be frustrating because I can see not even people like myself, but other young people I've seen, aspiring journalists and whatnot, trying to get access to this person or that person and being told, no, you can't get in here. It's feeling like, the start of Look at Me Now by Chris Brown with Lil Wayne on there. You even hate him from outside of the club. That makes sense. This was a different time. This was a different time. This was the early 2010s.
When he was all right to listen to.
Lil Wayne, Busta Rhymes. Enough said.
I think he's cancelled as well, to be fair. But carry on, sorry.
Oh, no, so what I was going to say is it's a sad state of affairs where, people like yourselves might have talent. You might have... you might have intellect. You might have any number of these skills, any of these skills or talents, but you feel like you can't use them or deploy them as easily as you can. And so what we've even seen is some people go down a very different route entirely because perhaps it pays the bills or it gives them the access that they were craving or the validation that they wanted or that they could have in a movement and they could make a difference only because somebody, left the door open for them. What I often hear from people who say are part of different political movements, say the movements of a Tommy Robinson or a Nigel Farage or even people further afield, is how easy it is to be part of it, how easy it is to take part. And I think it's perhaps also the limits of identity politics, where it is, if you're going to say, oh, you can only come with me if you think this way or feel this way, then automatically excluding a great group of people. And it's not a very human way to do politics. It's politics by spreadsheet.
I can't even tell you how hard it was for me and Sean to get involved in certain things.
As in, Northstar has been around for 2 years now. It's only become something because we've decided to come out into the public sphere with ourselves, invest in ourselves, and actually put something out there. It's such a self-defeating short-sightedness as well that people on the left have. Because like you said, it's very easy to get involved with the right. It's very easy to get involved with the Conservatives or whoever it may be. Come to Labour. Okay, if you care about the Labour Party, well, it just depends on who you know. You've got to network your way up. Come to any other sort of like progressive way. The pathways don't even exist. They don't even invest or have some sort of long-sightedness to look forward to the future.
And it's worth reminding people that say you're on within the capitalist realm, then your currency is finance. But if you're within a socialist realm or a left-wing realm, then your currency isn't finance. Your currency is people. You're over a communitarian politic. Therefore, you need to be able to garner the support and the sort of organization of people. With that being said, our critiques you offered, I'm assuming none of you boys are going to the Your Party conference this weekend.
If I could, maybe I would. But in terms of that project, I think British politics needs more variety. It needs more people involved, more people engaged. So I wish every success to your party, as I do to a great deal of political parties. I have no political affiliation, of course, until otherwise disclosed. But that means that people have to get their act together. That means that they have to work together. They have to push personal differences, agendas and egos aside. We have to stop worshipping human beings because they have MP in their name or because they have a particular credential or pedigree. We're all human beings at the end of the day. If somebody cuts my hand, it bleeds blood. If I go to sleep at night, I might have dreams. I wake up, I might have hopes. And because of that, and nothing being so different between people under the sun, it's very important that we put these things to the side, because at the end of the day, this is people's lives we're talking about. And as I said before, it's, do you want to be right or do you want to win?
I mean, shout out to you. I'm calling up Amex to get my £5 back because it's
Amex, you got it like that.
Come on now,
like
something like
Black Card Express.
do you ever think that maybe the reason they don't let you behind the scenes at some of these marches is because you look, sound, walk, and talk like a CIA agent?
I don't think I have that.
I prefer Malcolm X, man. Don't do my boy like that.
No, I don't think I have that kind of CIA energy.
Do you want me to go down the wormhole on that one?
No. I don't think I have the CIA energy for that. I'll tell you why. Yeah, I can't color inside the lines. Yeah, I taught myself how to tie my own shoelaces. Yeah, for me, a CIA agent is like put together.
But what does that mean? Like, is that what does that metaphor mean?
Now let him be esoteric if he wants to, man.
Metaphor, bro. What I'm trying to say,
literally
what I'm trying to say is that the CIA man comes cookie cutter. It's people who maybe steal phones or have like an entire like intro based on a place where they're from.
Okay, that's what a CIA agent would say. We got him. I can't lie.
People that got backstory.
All right, boys, come in now.
But one thing is, right, when you actually do kind of finally make it into the clique here. Look, the left obviously like principle themselves on identity politics, descriptive representation, all these sorts of things. Yeah, listen, all I'm saying, in my experience, not that I even like care that much, just white English.
As in, I know you maybe don't want to say this because NOVO is a bit too neutral, but literally, like the left will love to talk about how in all of the public institutions we have, the further you go up, the whiter it is. The same thing's true of the left.
Bro, Conservative Party is more woke than some of these like progressive left people.
Visually in a lot of ways,
yeah.
But and it's also just it all seems to be like a weird like same generation of students. Who were just like
came up in a certain generation, had particular views about international politics.
But also it's like we have talent, yeah. All right, nice, good one. I like that one. But we have talent, yeah, and like we just want to use that to further these movements. So why is it the case we're coming to these people and it feels like we're literally begging to help? Begging.
It's not a meritocracy, I think, and I think that's the key thing.
It doesn't reward competence.
If all of these movements are reflective of like the society that we live in, then if you have a situation where somebody 20, 30 years ago started a thing, now he's on she's on a six-figure salary, the incentive to allow new ideas, fresh energy in, things that threaten sponsors or do any of these things is different. Whereas now you have these new models. If you have Patreon or this or that, it's far easier for you to, build and engage in networks and with people who are not necessarily in the same bracket or spaces or who are not necessarily going to be accepted in the same way.
And even that's why with Northstar we talk about our like manifesto and the way we want to do politics. From the start we wanted to collaborate with people early on. Not necessarily, obviously there's great for us to collaborate with you, brilliant co-host, but just because we think that's important to reinforce that within left-wing politics in the UK, because it is so exclusionary, it is so cliquey, when in fact it needs to be really inclusive and communitarian.
And I would say to that with the white thing as well, I don't think it's just white people, of course. It's actually working class people. There's people in these movements who did the whole private school gauntlet, were taught how to hold the right knife and fork, etc., etc. Had the silver spoon from day one.
We were taught at uni to be. We were taught at uni.
My mum in
the Caribbean people actually they pride themselves on that.
But that's the thing. That's different. That's in your house. That was at the kitchen table. That was disciplinary action from your mother, father, auntie, uncle, grandparent, or
not father, but Karen.
Everybody's got a story. Everybody's got a story, man. And in that sort of world, it's very different for those people to allow, say, like, how many times have you seen a gypsy Roma traveler person at the top level of politics? How many times have you seen a Jewish
Can I say something as well? Yeah,
a woman from a working class background to the top side of politics?
People at home do your research, but I would say after women, Romani gypsies are the most persecuted people in European history.
Yeah.
I'll put that out there.
Fair enough.
Real talk. Real pogroms, constant abuse. I could be on a train.
They were held in chattel slavery in Transylvania.
People talking literally in the UK about Gypsy Roma traveller people as if we're talking about black people in the 60s, 50s and so on and so forth. They're all thieves, they're all this, they're all that. That's a whole other issue that we really need to deal with. We also really need to deal with the fact that disability discrimination is often at the very bottom of the agenda. But there are literally millions of disabled people in the UK. But back to the main point, it was that you don't even see many white working class people at the top of these movements, which is why voices like Mick Lynch were such a breath of fresh air for so many people, because they saw somebody speaking the same kind of language.
Legend.
Eddie Dempsey.
Speaking truth to power.
Rating him as well.
And yet coming from, places that they're from. How many people can relate to somebody who maybe is in a progressive space, but looks, sounds, talks, and has a trust fund just like David Cameron?
But to be fair, Keir Starmer's dad was a tool maker, and what a tool he made.
That was good. You've been cooking that
one. Not new to this, we're true to this. But listen, honestly,
the Netflix deal is incoming.
We've got a lot of our chest there, and obviously you landed that. As far as we're concerned, you landed that. But we want to hear from people at home. Get in the comments. Talk about your experience of trying to get involved in left-wing politics in the UK.
Please do.
And even just talk about how it seems maybe from the outside, if you're not someone who's actively involved, but we want Northstar to be a locus, a hub where people can get involved. We see people commenting all the time. It's been brilliant.
Yeah, and also give us some ideas for how we can take this from online into the real world. Take it offline. Because
we need audience. Bring people through.
What? A Northstar x NOVO first event? You want to do that?
Well, let's keep this behind the scenes. But listen, we think you landed there. I think you're the first person to come in and land the plane from start to finish. Just kept it on the runway the whole time.
It's been shaky.
Yeah.
I promise you it's been shaky.
Some people, bro, some of the planes we've seen flying around here, yeah. Malaysia Airlines.